So there's Bianca, and here I am. A little bit later than we wanted to this week, but we made it. We made it. How are you going?
We made it. Whoa, fine. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm
Very
stuffed.
nice to see you. And nice to see your cat.
Yeah, I know. She wanted to be in the
How
picture
are
as
you?
well. Oh, I'm buggered. I'm absolutely buggered. But before I go into that, I just wanted to
Oh,
say that's a very nice microphone you've got there. I can really
yeah,
hear you nice
that's
and clearly.
before we come to the microphone, I want to say especially hello to Michael,
Of
who is
course.
his words encouraged me, really. And I want to say hello to Stephen
Yeah, Michael and
also.
Stephen, our two biggest fans.
Yeah, great, isn't it? It's really nice. So it really keeps one encouraging to carry on and think about,
Exactly.
ne? The
Continual
sh- uh,
improvement.
Wait, the microphone before I forget. Exactly. Someone has sponsored this microphone. I
That's
don't know who it was, but I was very happy when the parcel arrived here this week.
uh-huh.
And there was a bill in it, and I was thinking, oh, that's odd. Someone is sending me a microphone and the bill too. That's unusual. So I I
That's
was really
nice.
wondering a funny joke, and so I phoned the people from who sent it in Berlin. Is it and I spoke to a guy and said, "Hey, listen, I got this headset. Who I don't, I don't really want to know who it was. Maybe I do, but I want to know is there still a bill to pay?"
Yeah.
And he checked it and checked it. Took a while, and he said, "No, it's paid." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's nice, very
Fan-
nice." So
Fantastic. So someone likes our show so much, they sponsored you with a microphone. That's fantastic.
yeah, so we really have a sponsorship here already.
That's
Isn't that
excellent.
great?
That's absolutely excellent. Well, if you know who it was, guys, put your hand up. We'd like to thank you personally.
Yes, exactly. You get a free cake and the coffee here if you live nearby, surely.
If you don't live nearby, just jump on a plane and we'll give you Bianca's address. She'll still have a coffee and cake ready for you. It's
Okay,
no big
exactly.
deal. No big deal. No, that's
Yeah.
good news. You look like me now with this headset and this microphone in front of your face.
There's a synergy happening here, huh? We turn into real sisters, like.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Both
Cool.
with good sound. Yeah, no, my day's been good. Pretty exhausting. I got a new bike for my birthday because it was my birthday this week. Just saying. Yeah,
Wow.
I got a new mountain bike, which was probably well and
Wow.
truly overdue. And I went to see my dad's new cafe today, which is about 4 kilometers away. And first I rode down there this afternoon, rode back. That was about 8 kilometers. And then afterwards, as soon as I got back, the neighborhood boy was playing with my daughter, and he says, "Can we go to the park? Can we go to the park?" I'd just gotten back from an 8 kilometer, 8 kilometer ride and being at my dad's cafe and making some nachos. And I said to him, "Yeah, sure. Give me 5 minutes, just to, just to have a quick coffee and have a quick smoke." And yeah, so I did that, and then rounded up the kids again. So all right, kids, let's go. So we went to the local park. But we got there, and the majority was not happy with the park. They said the park was too small, didn't have enough stuff to do. And I said, "Well, where are we going to go? This is Doveton." So I'm sitting there thinking. Then I thought we could go to Dandenong, guys, which is 4 kilometers away again. But it's a long ride. Are you sure you guys are up to it? These are two small kids, one's 7 and one's 8. And they said, "Yeah, let's go." And I'm sitting there, "You sure, guys?" Yeah, because you know how kids are. They get halfway and then all of a sudden, "I'm so tired, man. I'm so tired. I can't pedal one more step." I've done this all before. But I said, "Okay, guys, let's go." So we headed all the way back to Dandenong. So just again past my dad's cafe, went all the way to the giant park there, and it really is a giant park. They've got two sort of skateboard sections there, and then they've got a flying fox, which is quite unique. There's not many parks anymore with flying foxes, and they've got swings and more swings and play equipment and
Wait,
all sorts of stuff.
flying foxes? What is this?
How do I explain a flying fox? So it's a very long sort of a wire string. So I think the one down in Dandenong Park
Ah,
is,
I know. Yeah,
is about
yeah.
100
Which is
meters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's about
Okay.
100 meters long, and there's a metal grip that the kids hang on to. They have to jump off some sort of a dock or a high platform, and they swing down because gravity pulls them down. Long wire strings on an angle, so
Yeah.
it pulls
I
them
know what you
down.
mean now. I know what you mean. It's called Flying Fox. I don't know the German name, but
Yeah, there's
I
not
get the
many.
picture.
There's not many of them around anymore because councils or whoever makes these parks say they're quite dangerous. But I tell you what, kids have a lot of fun on them, and so do I.
They're
So,
great, yeah.
oh, they're fantastic. They used to be everywhere when I was a kid, but no, don't see them too often now. But Dandenong Park is one of the few places that still has one of these flying foxes, and it just so happens that the neighbour's kid hadn't actually been there before. So we all went to this park, and they had a great time. They had a great time. I was lying in the sun for about 20 minutes, which was fantastic. It wasn't quiet, but it was just really nice. The kids were entertained. I was just lying there quite comfortably, getting a few rays. And yeah, then they said, let's go on the Flying Fox, let's go on the Flying Fox. All right. So I got up and helped them onto the Flying Foxes, and then eventually one of the kids had an accident. All right, let's go home then. So we started going all the way home. We stopped in for a couple of nuggets and chips, and then we kept going, and then eventually another kid had an accident. So by the time we got by the time we got back, everyone was bruised and tired and battered. But I think we've all had a very very long day with exercise. Everyone's enjoyed the exercise and the sun, so we're all going to sleep well tonight, I think.
Awesome.
Mm.
It sounds beautiful. Exactly when kids happily tired, exhausted.
Mum's tired, exhausted, but that's nothing
Yeah,
unusual. It's not even necessarily happy. It's just a normal sort of thing, everyday thing. Mum's tired and exhausted, but when the kids are tired and exhausted too, that's great.
yeah. When
Yeah,
they are like had a good experience and completely.
yeah. I think they had lots of fun. They had a ball.
We've
Got a
been
ball.
in Hannover yesterday and visited Angie and her friend Dennis.
How good
And
of a
we,
friend is this friend?
hmm?
What kind of a
That's,
friend is this friend?
well, it's kind of a boyfriend,
Friends with
friend,
benefits. Friends with
on and
benefits.
off kind of
We've all
friendship.
had friends with benefits.
Well, he's a very quiet, nice guy.
Good.
And anyway, they bought to Jano's birthday a quad.
A quad bike.
Yes,
What, a
so we
kid
picked
size
that
one?
up yesterday. Pardon?
A kid size one.
Yes,
Well,
it's
exciting.
brilliant. I'll show you a picture later on. He's
Hmm.
outside now. He's outside with Norbert, driving, checking his squad. And he has also the gear to it, the helmet. He looks like a little ninja on his
Fantastic.
bike.
So he looks like me, like I usually do every day, like a
Yeah,
ninja.
sure.
Well, he must be pretty proud of himself then.
So, but like for me, it was nice to see Angie. I haven't seen her for quite a while, and we
Okay.
went into an ice cafe later on, and
So an ice cafe is like an ice cream parlor.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was a very quality-wise, very good ice cafe. It reminded me on an ice cafe from my childhood, back
Hmm.
from my childhood, the best I've ever been. So it's nice to see two young guys who opened it and have so they really want to make good quality ice cream instead of trashy stuff with artificial flavor.
Sure.
And you really could smell it when you entered the cafe. It smelled like fresh made, like fresh milk, fresh cream, fresh ice.
Mm. Isn't
Very
that one of
nice.
the best smells? Like this is one of the few smells I can remember from my childhood. I walked in to one of these ice cream parlors one day with my mother. I'm not sure why, because we she didn't let me eat a lot of ice cream, but we walked into this ice cream parlor probably to pick up a birthday cake or something, and you can just smell this dairy, this cold dairy, sugar dairy, and that's one of the nicest smells in the whole wide world. I reckon this really cold iced sugar dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next time you're around in Germany, I take you there. We go to Hanover and I take you there. We go for a nice ice cream.
Well, actually, you know what? Well, next time you're here in Melbourne, I could just take you to my dad's cafe. Because
Oh yes.
I actually went there for the first time this morning. He's had the cafe now for a couple of months, actually. They've had a few starting issues, just teething issues at the beginning. It was a pre-existing cafe, but it was only a year old when they bought it and they took it over. So it was really nice seeing the place, and they've got a lot of scope for development there. They've put a lot of effort into it already, but I think they've got a lot of potential to make it bigger. And it was really nice seeing the place. I had my 13-year-old sister make me a cappuccino this afternoon
Oh,
when I arrived. That was very nice. And yeah, then we all took turns to see who could make the quickest bowl of nachos.
quickest ball of nachos.
Yeah,
Okay.
so well, that's one of the items that they'll be selling soon, because it's a cafe that's not only sells coffee and drinks, but they also sell small foods, sandwiches, pies, bakery items as well, salad. And one of the things they're going to be introducing soon is a bowl of nachos. So nachos with your salsa and your sour cream and jalapenos and lots of cheese. Beautiful, really beautiful. So we all took turns to see who can make the quickest bowl of nachos. That
Cool,
was the
cool.
competition today. Who could serve the customer quicker. The shop was shut today, so it was really only testing. But I'm not sure who won in the end. But we all had fun making nachos anyway.
Cool. So did you had a wonderful birthday?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. So it has been quite a busy week, hasn't it? So that was
Yeah, as
this
usual, huh?
as usual. So that was one of the things that happened last week. So on Tuesday was my birthday. I'm now officially old, right? I'm now officially old, and I actually had a really wonderful birthday. So everyone made me feel really special. Everyone that knew made
Wow.
me feel really special, and loved as well. So I got so many presents this year. It was just incredible, really unbelievable. So yeah, it was definitely nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't make it on time, but on your birthday I sent you a letter, so it must arrive on some point.
Oh, I'll tell you what, the post is really slack at the moment. So I sent a parcel to Germany as well for someone's birthday, because I have a few friends as well who have birthdays around mine, so other Scorpios really. So I sent one of them a parcel, just a small parcel for their birthday. It's been over 3 weeks and they still haven't received it, so I'm starting to get a bit worried now. Yeah, it's
Oh, they
crazy.
told me it's about a week. It takes a week.
That's well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think I've ever actually received something from Germany in a week, but I was quite
Okay.
quite surprised to see that it's taken 3 weeks already from Australia to Germany and it still hasn't arrived.
Oh, oh.
Mm.
Uh, this morning I found a nice saying from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really thinking, wow, how spot on time for my dear Ingrid. The day you were born is the day God decided that the world could not exist without you.
That's really nice.
Isn't it? I thought that fits the picture.
But it is true, isn't it? Like, even though our lives might seem to us like they're meaningless sometimes, the world would actually not be the same if we didn't play our little parts in the world. It's true. Every single person, right, has their own
Mm.
little part to play of how the world rocks and how it ticks and turns over.
That's also I found a very nice poem, but I want to keep it for next time. We may have a chat about poetry. I have a lady friend in England,
Hmm.
and she shares nice art. She is actually she plays the cello, and her husband is a musician. He plays the saxophone. We used to she used to live in Ireland on a little island called Innisfree, and
Yes.
that's where we spend time together. They are really calm, beautiful, amazing people. They give a lot of love to Angie and to me.
Hmm.
When I was living in Ireland as a single mother with my daughter, and we walked to the beach, and there her husband sat with his saxophone playing at a pier, and when he played his saxophone, it was amazing. And then a little
That's not something you see every day, is it? Someone sitting at the pier just playing a saxophone. That's a
but
bit.
that's
That's a
the
bit
way he is.
nice.
He's Well, yeah, but that's
It's a
like
bit dreamy and
when those
romantic.
people, but these are like kind of also like they are very relaxed, calm people. But when he played a little, what is Seehund in English? A little seal stuck his nose out of the water, and that's what he did regularly. So he had his little play with the seal at the Atlantic Ocean in Ireland. So it was just amazing to see for us. Angie and I, we always keep this as a very precious memory.
How romantic. How romantic.
Yeah, totally,
Jeez.
isn't it?
God.
Very, very cool people. And that Eve lady, that friend of mine, she shared a poem written from a woman, and I guess she's pastor or she's a counselor or whatever, and she wrote a nice poem about a fallen leaf and what it reminds us on. I read it next time. I want to be a bit prepared and read it properly. This time around, I did my homework yesterday about the nature of things.
Yes, I'd like to hear about that. But that was one of the topics we wanted to cover today, was nature of things. And then the other topics we wanted to cover were antisemitismus.
Yes.
So anti-Semitism. And
really hurts me a lot personally.
Probably hurts a lot of people, I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
and birthday was a nice topic. Birthday.
Yeah, so birthday. Birthday was a topic I wanted to speak about, just in the more general sense. For example, I know that birthdays are a big thing for kids, but are they really such a big thing for adults anymore? Like, a lot of adults that I know don't even really seem to take in when they've got their birthdays. It doesn't seem to be such a big thing, but that's a real shame, actually, because your birthday is really the one time a year where the day is about you, or it should be about you. And we seem to sort of put that a little bit by the wayside as we grow older. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. And the last topic I wanted to talk about was Halloween.
Have you seen the short clip I've sent you?
I did, actually. I just watched that just before I logged on here to talk to you.
Yeah. Okay, we keep that for later. No problem. No problem. It's really interesting anyway. So we start about the nature of things, and
I'll throw the mic over to you so that I can sort of listen to what this is all about.
And have a relaxed sip of your coffee. And
well, actually, no. I've been through one bottle of iced tea. You know, I'm going on to the second bottle now.
I've got
to keep me hydrated. I need it today.
Fresh made coffee here. Okay.
Oh, nice.
So I did a bit of research, and it's a documentary. I think they made this documentary in the 70s.
Yes.
And it's called The Nature of Things, about science and how things are made. And when I Googled the nature of things, I found on the nature of things, it's the first century BC. Didactic poem by the Roman poet and philosopher Lucretius, and he lived 99 before Christ to 55 before Christ, with the goal of explaining Epicurean philosophy to a Roman audience. So he wanted to explore physics thoughts with poetic language and metaphors. Namely to explore the principles of atomium, the nature of mind and soul, explanation of sensation and thoughts, and the development of the world in its phenomena, celestial and terrestrial phenomena. Can you follow me as far? I hardly understand what I'm reading, but I do understand it.
We'll put it this way, I'm listening.
Oh, you are so cute. Alright, just keep some other thought I just popped up for the birthday thing. So the universe described in the poem operates according to physical principles. And he that's what he tried to explain in 6 books he wrote about it, and he was reading it to an audience. What I found very interesting, how he thought about educating people in a sense. And the nature of things, it's about I think it's a very interesting scheme to be explored much further. And for this, I got out of my kitchen eine Thermoskanne. What's it in English?
One of these thermos bottles.
Thermos bottles, exactly. A thermos bottle. I was in a museum in Glashütte is called the place, a very ancient German place where they made glass.
So they blow glass
per hand.
properly. Yes,
Blow,
they blow
exactly.
it.
Yes, and that's also where they described how those thermos bottles are made.
Yeah.
And there I discovered that there is in this world no such thing as an empty space, which is very interesting. You have two Wände, two wands here, what's it called?
Yeah, so a thermal bottle is made out of two walls.
Genau, exactly. And you have to make this and create artificial a room without space in it, a room without air in it to keep the tea or coffee hot or the ice cold. So you have to create. It is not existent that it does not exist an empty space. Theory, ideology about space and free space and things, but there's no such thing as a free space. So that I found very interesting, and there's a process in a manufacturer or in a factory. They have to make it so they have this free space. What I'm trying to say here is that's
Bianca,
coming back to humans.
Bianca, can I just pause it for 1 second because something's going on with the kids?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. 1 second.
No problem.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Everything okay?
Oh yeah, they were just as usual. They were just arguing and annoying each other a little bit. That's their favorite pastime.
That fits my point. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's funny right now. Just not really for you as a mother, but no. That's what I'm trying to say. That there are spirits, and that's what God has created us. And because we're living in a fallen world, there are evil spirits versus like dark spirits versus the light, quasi. That's what I'm trying to say here. So there is no such thing as an empty space, and where we are, hopefully there is light, and there's always an undergoing fight against the light. So that's the point I'm trying to make. The nature of things is as such interesting because of the way we are made. I, for example, am more a flying bird and would love to fly around. I enjoy every trip I can make. I'm going to be in Berlin for 4 days. I'm telling you later about it.
Oh,
and
when
are
you going?
Pardon? Thursday. Thursday till
Okay.
Sunday. There is an Israel conference and also a march against anti-Semitism. I'll tell you later exactly. And
Sure.
I visit my sister. My sister lives in Berlin, and I'm going to see my sister and stay with her. So we have to do our chat in Berlin while I'm in Berlin, and you're in
Yeah, there'll be a very interesting international chat then.
Yeah,
for Berlin
yeah,
and
yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah, cool.
Really good. I didn't even know you had a sister, actually.
Oh, she's only 11 months younger.
Oh, is she? Oh, your mother got right onto her.
Oh, yes, sure. She was very fruitful.
Yeah.
She could have been.
Do you just have the one sister, or do you have other siblings as well?
I would have other siblings if we wouldn't have abortion in our family. I'm personally very, very unhappy about it. I don't want to blame my mother. She didn't know any better, but to me it's heartbreaking. I miss those two, other brother and sister, whatever. I miss those two a lot.
For sure.
But I'm happy about my sister. She is very, very awesome. Okay.
Is she as funny as you are?
Well, she likes to speak tacheles, she says. She likes to come straight to the point. And she's the better cook, and she's probably the better housewife, the better wife, the better mother. Maybe she's the better part of me, of us. So
Well, if she's a better cook than you, then she must be extraordinary because there's few people that can make cakes as well as you can. That's for sure.
oh wow, thank you.
Mm.
Speaking about exaggerations, then
Take it off.
no,
Would
let me
I
kid a bit.
exaggerate? Would I exaggerate ever?
To explain things well, you must exaggerate a little, isn't it?
Well, sometimes
Yeah.
it's quite good to exaggerate, especially if you're making a joke or if you're that's it's a good time for exaggeration, but in any other time, maybe not so much.
Yeah, so now we come. I want to leave the nature of things for now and go to what happened last week. And I was I was devastated when I heard what happened in Pittsburgh, the killing of 11 Jews in a synagogue. It's unbelievable. I
Tell
thought,
us what happened.
I didn't read too much into it, to be very honest. All I've heard is that a guy walked into a synagogue and shot 11 people out of, his motivation was, yeah, antisemitism, hate of the Jewish people. I don't know
So
what
this
his motive.
obviously wasn't a Jew. So was it just a Christian or a Catholic or just somebody who didn't like Jews?
Yeah, could be both. Could be a Christian, could be a Catholic. It wasn't a Muslim.
All right.
Surprise in that case. Yes, not that Muslims kill. I'm sorry, my dear Muslim brother and sister. Don't get me wrong here. Um, no, but what shocked me is while we are like blue-eyed, completely having our nice conversations. There's killing going on. There are people starving. There's so much bad things going on, and
Yeah, for
sometimes
sure.
it's good not to know about it, not to be aware. But it made me aware
I think
that
that's why so many people don't want to listen to the news or they don't want to watch the news because
yeah.
it's really just full of bad stuff.
That's
Really,
why I
at the end of the day.
stopped it.
And do we
Yeah,
really need to even know this sort of stuff that's going on in the world? I mean, we don't really. For the most part, we don't really. That whether we know about this Pittsburgh killing or not won't stop. Won't change the way we act tomorrow or today. It's just a bit
well, for
of
me it did. It did
information
change.
to know. To start a conversation about. Really.
Well, it did change actually a lot for me. It
How?
was like inner inner shaking. Come on, woman, what are you doing?
Hmm.
How do you gonna spend your time? Check this like a scanning. Like where do I do waste my time? And I do waste my time sometimes. I just do it. Um, what personally is like I have German ancestors. And I don't want to say we are innocent about the killing in World War II.
Hmm.
My family certainly had a part in it, part of my background. And part of me, as long as I'm alive, a part of me will keep the shame for it. That's just, I'm
You
not,
see, that's where I don't agree. Like I know what you're saying, that the
yeah,
shame sort of passes down through the families, and I think that's a very German thing though, because a lot of my generation in Germany are still made to feel ashamed for what happened in World War II and in the anti-Semitism and the killing of the Jews, which is absolutely true. There is no excuse whatsoever for what happened and for the way we acted or the way the Germans acted. And it wasn't only the Germans, a lot of the other countries practiced anti-Semitism at the same time and did some pretty horrible
yes,
things to Jews. Uh, but at the same time, we're so many generations past those people that committed those god awful crimes. Why are we still ashamed? Why are we still being made to feel ashamed for it? Yes, we should be aware that this happened for
yeah,
sure. That everyone's aware that it happened. We know we're
mm,
taught in school that it happened, and we are of the belief now, I think, that it was a terrible thing that happened. But should this generation still be making amends for it? Should we still be saying sorry? Because we don't have anything to do with that, really. Yes, we're
yeah,
descended from the people that did it. Perhaps,
mm,
yes, for sure.
mm,
But, it wasn't us that did it. It would be like it'd be like, having someone who went to jail for a petty crime or for stealing a loaf of bread, 3 generations ago,
yeah,
and
I get
then
your point.
and then still saying 3 generations later to a little kid, Oh, your great
Yeah, yeah, it's
granddad
right.
stole a
It's
loaf
right.
of bread. What's wrong with you? You must
Yeah,
be something
yeah.
wrong with you. And it's not true. It's ridiculous, actually.
That's why I really like talking to you about it, because you do think about these things, and you think deeply, not just superficially and just throw it away. For my part, I will certainly rethink it. I personally have like, if it's like this, I personally want to keep that little piece of shame to do the right action, to be more aware than, like, not to forget. And we talk about blessings and curses passed on in our DNA, some other subject. Today I did research on the history of anti-Semitism,
Hmm.
and it was a pre-Christian anti-Judaism in ancient Greece and Rome, which was primarily ethnic in nature.
Yes.
And then came Christian anti-Semitism in the Middle Ages, which was religious by nature, and Luther was an anti-Semite. I'm
Was
sorry
he?
to say.
Okay.
Yes, he was. He did a great job translating the Bible. It's really amazing how he could translate it
Well, I
and
think
completely
the
not.
Lutheran movement, the whole
Yeah.
Protestant movement, changed the world. You know, he was a world changer, in
Yes.
the sense of theology. He really, the Lutheran
Yes.
movement was what made us who we are today. You know, the
Yeah.
Quakers, the Protestants, the Anglicans. That's all thanks, in part to Luther. Without him, we'd probably all still be Catholic.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
probably would still not understand a single word, and the Bible would still be in
Well,
Latin, and
exactly
no
right.
one.
Exactly. We
Yeah,
wouldn't actually know what we're talking about half the time. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I still don't, but in biblical terms.
But a third point was traditional Muslim anti-Semitism,
Hmm.
and so I checked it. So you have three categories, and now you have the anti-Semitism rising up again, and especially in Europe, the Muslims are raging against Israel. The Christians they have their theology is anti-Jewish. They translate the Bible into new terms, so they really, it's incredible. It's like the Jewish are God's chosen people. That's just the way it is. God has chosen the smallest of people and has said, okay, you are my chosen folks, and I show the world on you what kind of God I am. And it's
Hmm.
like the tree, like an olive tree,
Well,
and
Jesus himself was Jewish, wasn't he? That was one of the first sort of classic religions, was Jewish in one part of the world.
well, that's the monotheism, to believe in just one God who created the heaven and the earth. The other things, people, the heathen, the Gentiles worshipped creation. That's the point. And I was myself a creation worshipper, like crazy. I was worshiping the moon, the earth, name it, and I worshipped it. I needed something to worship. My heart is made to worship. Thanks to God, I know who am I worshiping now. But that's the thing, they really made gods. The Romans had many gods. The Greeks had, and Athens, they had many
Well,
gods.
they shared their gods, didn't they? They had pretty much the same gods. They just gave them different names. So they had the same, moon god, sun god,
Yeah, but
god
that's
of
all creation.
hunting,
That's the
and
point. Yeah,
yeah.
that was basically the case. You worship the painting more than the artist, quasi, so to speak.
Hmm.
Back to the anti-Semitism. I found when the fall was, God also set hatred.
Hatred.
Yeah, exactly. So when the snake betrayed Eve, and Eve seduced Adam, quasi, just to say it nicely, God set hatred between the woman and the snake, and the woman's seed and the snake. And that's basically a picture for the church, for the modern congregation. I don't want to call it church. It's an organism. The body of Christ, the body of faith, it's an organism. It's like many people make a living organism. And the Jews are the older brothers and sisters of the younger Christians. We as Gentiles are propped into the tree of that living organism, that living tree. We are the wild branches God has set in, and now I take out of the root, which is Christ is the root, I take the sap. Basically, I get nurtured by the root, and I'm thankful for my older brothers, the Jewish people, even so they don't know their Messiah yet. They really deny their Messiah for what reason ever.
Well, actually, they believe in God. They believe in the same God that we do. I think we even share the name. They just don't believe in Jesus. Well, they do believe in Jesus, not that Jesus is the Messiah, not that Jesus is the Savior.
Yeah,
Right?
that's my it always gets me back to the point, who has paid for my sins. And I'm gladly, if I wouldn't have had Jesus, I would have really died in my sins. Died, maybe you can die a long life, you can die slowly every day. I mean, dying is part of life, of course, which brings me back to that Leaf poem.
Anything that was once alive must die.
Mortal life is made to die, and we are gladly receive through Christ. We receive eternal life, we receive forgiveness, we receive the love of God, which is for me amazing. I was this morning on my hill to go for a pray. It's the way I start my day. I was too late for the stars because was too long in bed, and it was already a bit of light. I was like, I miss the stars.
I didn't wake up in the dark. Damn it.
Yeah, really, because I really love to kneel down on my hill. It's a very peaceful place. It's a beautiful place.
Sure.
I scared the little bird who was making a little sound, and I kneeled down, and I was just crying before my Father in heaven, and because I'm exhausted and empty, and there's many things happening, and I really have that the praying time is just to clear also my emotions, my thoughts, and get filled again with the things necessary, with His love, His wisdom, the things He's given us, and that's quite amazing. And anti-Semitism is a part. We have still neo-Nazis in Germany. We have Muslims who really openly hate Jewish people, who burn
I think there are enough Germans, white Germans, who
also
hate Jewish people as well. It's not just the Muslims. I think that's really totally incorrect. Actually, trying to put any blame on Muslims. I think it's there are a lot of other people, who call themselves Christian as well, who really hate the Jews. It's certainly not just the Muslims.
No, not just the Muslims, and I don't want to say that a lot of Muslims who love Israel. I'm exactly the point. But the spirit of anti-Semitism is just flying around and catches whoever wants to be a racist, whoever wants to hate, whoever wants to whatever. And
yeah, but I think there are so many people out there that just are looking for things to hate, and I think without any reason, Jews are one of them. Muslims are another congregation or another community who some people have just chosen to really have something against, just like some people have something against black people, and there's no real reason for it. Is any sort of racism or bias against religion is totally, most of the time it's totally unfounded. I think people are just looking for something to hate, and they pick an underdog and they go with it.
Exactly, that's the way the things are. But looking through history of anti-Semitism, and if you ever watch the movie The Fiddler on the Roof, you get the scene that movie describes, for example, how the Jewish people were thrown out of Russia.
They're thrown out everywhere, really. They're thrown out everywhere. At one point, they weren't even allowed to use the same buildings, the same shops. There's a huge anti-Semitic propaganda thing going on in a lot of countries, especially just before the Second World War, I think. Around that time.
And it's still, again, it's like it's rising. This kind of spirit is rising again, and it's not just poorly or not just a joke. I prefer to be alarming voice too loud before the storm happens than saying nothing. That's why I also go to Berlin on Thursday to an Israel conference, and we go on Saturday. We go onto the streets to really say yes to Israel, to say no to anti-Semitism, to say yes to Jerusalem as the main city of Israel. And also, it's the 9th of November. This year, 80 years ago, was the pogrom night, where all synagogues, a lot of synagogues, were burned down in Germany. So a
Oh,
very
that wouldn't be Kristallnacht, would
historic.
it? Is that Kristallnacht
Yes,
in
yes,
English? Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yes. So Kristallnacht. So that's exactly 80 years ago. They burned a lot of synagogues down in Germany, in Europe. I was in Latvia. And they had about, I don't know how many synagogues, but that was full with synagogues. And in the main city, let me think, Vilnius, is just one synagogue left. And I'm very happy that this one synagogue is left and it's alive again and people visit and keep the tradition. Yesterday I was searching to YouTube and found beautiful klezmer music. And I give it a thumb up, and I wrote my thanks for this amazing, lively music. And the guy said there is a klezmer festival next year in Fürth in March. So I'm gonna go next year for 3 days also to Fürth. It's Nuremberg. 3 days klezmer music, and I'm gonna dance and catch up a very good vibration, very good humor, very good, beautiful, amazing music that really keeps me up going, keeps me up singing, smiling, dancing, whatever.
So it's like
And I'm glad.
a 3 day over 30s party marathon.
Much
some
better.
lively
That was
music.
an understatement.
Oh, okay.
So I was very happy the guy wrote back. The guy who played the clarinet, a very amazing musician, and his band, awesome. It's a Jewish man also. I'm very glad he wrote back, and it's amazing how the response is. What I learned to genocide. Is it genocide called?
Genocide, yeah.
Genocide, thank you. The Jewish people have 2,000 and more years of being persecuted all around the world.
Absolutely.
They have this thing that they feel deep within, hated everywhere. And what I learned is that they are an amazing blessing, since I am saying this, of course, as a friend of the Jews. Since I opened my house for Jewish people and I opened my heart for Israel, that was 18 years ago when I came to faith in Messiah, I received immense blessing from the Lord. It's like He is the God of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac. And I certainly personally do a stand for Israel in whatever sense, in whatever matter. I'm completely pro-Israel. And so that's the point I wanted to make here. And I'm glad Israel celebrates this year 70 years of Israel. It's a very significant year, 2018, historical-wise. So what comes out of
because
World War II?
Israel isn't even that old, is it? And a lot of people don't know this. But
70
Israel themselves
years.
is a very young country.
Yes, but like my country, East Germany, has only existed for 40 years, and it's not existed anymore.
Well, it doesn't exist anymore, but Germany also didn't really exist, so they had a lot of different states, you know. It was spread out into Prussia, into Bohemia, you know, for a part. And so the German state, the actual German Republic of Germany as it is now, is really only, it's younger than I am, so it'd be 29 years old, wouldn't it? I think it's only about 29 years old. It's a very young country as well, yeah.
Well, with the wall coming down, but history is always, that's a good point that we can, that's back to our start off in our communication, that we really have the possibility where we are to shape a little bit and make the world a little bit lighter than it is actually. That's maybe we leave this conversation to sum it up and get over to something lighter.
Yeah, look at, and no, for sure. I mean, light topics are pretty good, but from my point of view, what I'd like to say to that is whether you know someone who is Jewish or Muslim, dark-skinned, fair-skinned, yellow-skinned, whatever. At the end of the day, their skin does not determine the sort of person they are. Their religion does not determine the sort of person that they are. And you either get along well with the person or you don't at the end of the day, you know. And no other factor should stop you from liking someone or not, really. And,
Yeah.
and everything else should really be irrelevant to you, to everybody.
That, yeah, my daughter used to had a favorite shirt, and that was on that shirt was standing "Worship the best or die like the rest," which is very radical said. Yeah, yes, exactly. But my point is, if I am a worshipper of the God of love, then I must live it out till the last consequence. And am I ready to be slaughtered and crucified and persecuted for my faith in this God, and because I have eternal life? How far am I going? That's the kind of my point here is the kind of growing in love. Because I really, what I can't stand is people saying love is all you need. I could puke hearing love is all you need. It really gets me sick.
Well, that's funny because
Because
you used to be a big hippie. So
yeah, I
I'm
know,
really surprised to hear you
Japan.
say this.
Yeah, love is all you need.
Love is all you need.
But I prefer a little bit of more than love. I can't live alone from love and breathing. I need to
Love
read
won't
books.
pay the bills. I mean, you could try. You
Exactly.
could try. You
Yeah.
could try ringing your gas company and say, "I love you. Can I have a discount?" It might work. I haven't tried it. If someone has tried it, let us know if it works.
Well, actually, if you go Skyping with them and make blink blink with your eyes, then maybe the guy on the screen is
Might
like,
give us a bit more of a
okay,
discount.
lady, give me your account number and I pay your bill. No, but that's exactly the point. It takes more than just love, and life is much more. I mean, love is an essence, a very important essence.
Mm.
Without love, you can skip it completely. But it is more than love. It's also reading, having communication, having friendship, having time, all the things you can't buy. All the things you can't buy for money, basically. All the things you really don't get in any shop. And that's the point also I'm trying to get across.
Hmm. Yeah, you can't buy love. Yeah, that's for sure. So everyone does need love, but
That was also
love
a
isn't
song from the
everything.
Beatles, Can't Buy Me Love, wasn't it?
That's right. Can't buy me love,
Love.
love. Can't buy me love. That's about it. I don't know the rest of the text, but but it is a very good song. The Beatles were pretty good. They're pretty good. But another day where you can really express your love for someone is on their birthday, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, kids, with our kids, we really, most of us as parents or grandparents, we really try our best to convey that love for our kids on their birthdays, and we really try to make it all about them. That day each year when they celebrate the anniversary of their birth. And that's what I do as well. Every time my kids have their birthdays, I try to buy them some really nice presents that I hope they'll like, and we try to do something that they'll want to do even if they go to school that day. In the evenings we still sort of make it all about them. But what I've noticed is that when people get older, when they break away from childhood and they become adults, or when they move into adulthoods, they don't, I don't know, they're just not given, a lot of the time they're not given that special time anymore to have their birthday celebrated. They themselves don't think it's that important anymore. And quite a few adults, as you get older, they can't really remember how old they are anymore. Am I 50 or am I 55? I'm not sure. But have you noticed that as well? That the older you get, the less important your birthday sort of becomes, and I think that's quite sad, actually.
I don't know. It's like it's the part is when you get older, you have not that much strings left to organize a cool party. It
Yeah, but why
takes,
why don't why don't other people do it for you? That's maybe
yeah,
part of the question. They should be, and they don't. And I think that's the sort of general consensus. Think, you're getting older, you're an adult now. It's not going to be that important to you. But I think birthdays and Christmas times, they're two really big times that you shouldn't just have to enjoy when you're a kid, or you shouldn't just be allowed to enjoy when you're a kid, but you should really be able to take some pleasure in when you're older. I think.
My daughter, she wanted to organize a special birthday party because of my fifth zero.
Yeah.
But I was very glad to celebrate it on a demonstration against abortion. So for me, it was a very special day. I was very happy that I could celebrate it in a complete different way. I would have loved to celebrate my birthday with my friends. I did my 40th birthday, had a big celebration, and one of my friend, she put the money together with other ladies, and they bought me a Spanish dress,
Oh,
an
nice.
original Spanish dress,
Like a
because
flamenco dress.
I dance flamenco a bit. Not that I can do it very well, but I dance it just for fun.
I do
And they
flamenco
bought
when no one's watching.
so that was
I can do the
anyway, that
flamenco.
was special, you know. That was really to me it was nice.
And the
But
lambada.
yeah, well,
The flamenco and the
castagnetten.
lambada. With castellan, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that is in English, but I know what you mean. Those little
So
Morocco tappy tappy things.
yeah,
Yeah.
next year a good friend of mine, she helped me a lot here. She's like she lives in Hanover. She's also the aunt of my daughter, the sister of my first husband,
I
basically.
see. Mm.
Well, we are very close since school time, and she's going to turn 50 next year. So I think to really organize a nice party for her, because she's a very nice person, and she's doing a lot for other people. So I think I do organize a brilliant, awesome party for her to
Mm.
celebrate her, to show her how thankful I am that she's a friend. I don't know. It's for kids. I think when party time, you can always have a party. I make music on here and have my party. So I don't know. It takes a lot of effort to run a party, you know?
Yeah, it does. It does take a lot of effort, but what I'm thinking is because we put so much effort into making the day special for our kids, but we sort of lose that excitement a little bit as we grow older. And I don't know. I probably, as an adult, I think I'm probably get more excited than any other adult I know when it's my birthday. Like I'm almost bouncing off the walls. And that's days leading up to my birthday are always a little bit depressing. You know that you're getting older. You ask yourself, have you achieved all that much more in life over the last year? And then you realize, I'm still single. No, I haven't. And but then when your actual birthday day gets there, I think I get super excited, like a little kid. I get super
Yeah.
excited actually, and I just but unfortunately no one a lot of the people around you, they don't they just don't put the same emphasis into making your day special, and equally they don't sort of put the same emphasis into making their own birthday special as they get older, and I think that's something that we really should sort of change a little bit in society, that we keep that one day a year special for people every year.
Yeah, that's right. I agree completely, totally.
Mm.
My birthday is to me personally, always a very awesome, amazing day. I really like it. The day is always filled with sunlight, with a lot of nice little things happening. Like you said, it's nice to hear that people thought about you, that they made you feel special, and
Oh, this birthday was absolutely amazing, and apart from probably a couple of people in my close vicinity, not to say any names, Alma, but other everyone else made my day really really special, and I'm really grateful for that. And it was fantastic compared to last year, where I think hardly anyone even remembered that it was my birthday, even though it was a very even numbered birthday last year. I don't want to say how old, but it was a very even numbered with a zero at the end birthday last year, and hardly anyone remembered. And I spent the evening baking myself a cake for my children who couldn't bake a cake. So essentially, I made them a cake for me for my birthday, and I don't even like cake, but I just made it for them. And that was a really depressing birthday, I thought. But this one, on the other hand, was really good, and most people remembered that it was my birthday, and it was fantastic. Even just hearing from people, "Happy birthday," that they actually remember that it's a day, celebrating your anniversary, basically, of your birth, is just really super amazing when people do make the effort to remember that.
Oh, but this, when you said you bake a cake, even you don't like cake, and you did bake that cake, it's amazing. A year later, you have a fantastic birthday. So it was worth the effort.
Mm.
For there are better days ahead. What you said last in our last
That's
conversation
right.
there.
Every day and every day is a fresh day, and the sun rises every morning, and you have the ability to turn that day into whatever you want it to be. Absolutely, and you have that ability every single day of your life. So you should never, if one day's bad, don't ever think that the next day is going to be bad as well, because it probably won't. You could change it like that if you wanted to. Absolutely. But I'm just saying that last I was still going on, I will never forget this. That last birthday I had to bake myself a cake for my kids because they couldn't bake and I don't even like cake. And I think one of my children last year didn't remember it was one of my birthday. Same thing happened this year. One of my children didn't actually remember it was my birthday. Which is really disappointing. I have to admit that it's really disappointing when one of your own children doesn't remember and the other one absolutely does. The other one just doesn't remember. But no, it was a really, really nice birthday. So a lot of people made it really special this year.
It's very nice to hear. It's great.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
So it made
Awesome.
it dampened the hurt of getting another year older, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, for Christmas, I understand for people that Christmas is special. But this year I'll be in Israel on Christmas, and my parents will not have anybody to celebrate Christmas with,
Mm.
which is makes it very difficult. I can understand that my parents are not happy about it. The thing is, what we celebrate on Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ, it's something Kaiser Constantine, Empire Constantine has taken from a heathen Gentile culture and translated into Christianity. And reading the Bible, studying the dates and so on, Jesus was not born on Christmas. And
Well,
every
no one
time,
actually knows when he was born, do they?
yeah, well, I don't know if there is the Bible is a big book to study, so I haven't studied on this subject. Really, maybe someone knows the months at least. So because the time we have before Christ and after Christ, the time schedule we have, and a lot of other things. The Romans have translated the things like we are the way we are influenced by culture, history, by wars, by ideologies. It's quite interesting to think about that. And I think it's awesome to celebrate Christmas, but the tree thing, to put up a tree and decorate the tree nicely, is a heathen tradition. And like the point I forgot to make is that Christianity has also brought anti-Semitism into the Europe culture without realizing or without confessing or whatever. And we had a Reformation year last year, 500 years Luther.
Mm-hmm.
And the subject was touched that Luther was an anti-Semite, but it wasn't really, for my personal subjective view, I miss a great part of repentance in a church. Had nothing to do with anyone. It is a personal thing where I think pastors and leading as Christian leaders should really make a day of repentance before the Lord for what happened the last 500 years. That we have it's called a second place theology. We just take the Bible, pick out a nice a phrase or verse, and turn it into our egocentric worldview, and completely miss the point God is making, completely miss the point history is teaching us. And that's what I learned recently, what really opened my eyes a little bit. And that's the point I'm making here. That's why I also need to go there to Berlin and see if there is someone who is willing to repent. Certainly the leading people, they will be tempted by Satan with pride and with power, so to say. and it's difficult to be humbled. It's difficult that we humiliate ourselves in a certain point. I can tell you another story another time. I have a colleague who taught me about humility this week. It was very interesting. He brought me right back to my place, and I'm very grateful to have such a nice colleague and social worker with the refugees, with my Muslim friends,
Okay.
refugees. I'm scrubbing their toilets and clean their floors. So humility is a great part to be learned, and I haven't certainly, I only scratched the surface so far. But that's the point. Like, you can't really talk about faith and all the matters and leave the Lutheran anti-Semite parts out. You just praise Luther to the sky and forget about the lots of.
Well, I think every person has their good and bad points. Even someone as earth-shattering as Luther, who changed the world as we know it. Who changed the view of theology as we all know it. Even he had some terrible bad points. One of them being that he was an anti-Semite. Now it's the same with Mel Gibson. He's a,
Oh,
he's a
I love him. I love him. He's one of my favorite actors
he's
and
changed the world through Braveheart and through
yeah.
hang on. I always have trouble with this one. Apocalyptica. I'm not going to say that fast. You know what I mean. You know the film I'm talking about. But he made some breathtaking films, and he is an amazing actor. No one will ever be able to copy his films or his filmmaking ability.
The Passion
He's
of Christ
a
is
passion, the
incredible.
passion. Is another example of his brilliance. In the
Yes.
entertainment industry and in the filmmaking industry. But he's a bloody hardcore anti-Semite. So
Is he?
he's very anti-Semitic, and so
I
that's
never heard of. Is he really?
absolutely.
That poor
He's a
thing.
Catholic anti-Semitist. So
Oh my God.
he's a brilliant person, but
Yeah.
he like every single person, like every human, he has his bad points
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with anyone you idolize or you praise or you speak the
Yeah.
world of, you can be sure that they're only human as well, and they're going to have their bad points. And that's the
Right,
same as
right,
with
right. Yeah,
everyone.
bring it down to the core. You are so right. Of course, we are just weak vessels in the hand of the potter. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
sure.
we're all just human. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, there's no other. Some people think of have a very grandiose sort of sense of self, I think, but at the end of the day, we are absolutely just human, and to err is human.
And
You know.
and I think in the end it's also like I like to see how much was I able in the end of the days to love, how much was I able to overcome, like the cake baking part of you.
Hmm.
On Tuesday, for example, I had a very bad day, a lot of setbacks, and in the evening I tried to go to my Hebrew class to drive to Hanover. I couldn't. It was raining. It was dark. I cannot drive very well in the dark. I didn't know how the heater worked in my car. The window was
Fogging up.
steaming. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
see. And I drove, and halfway to Hanover, I had to drive back because I was like, if I keep driving like this, I'm gonna have an accident. So I drove back, drove into the forest, had my cry in the car. On Wednesday, Wednesday was the Reformation Day. Yeah, we had a free day here in Niedersachsen, the first celebrating free day in Niedersachsen.
Hmm.
And I was sick with migraine. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. I had permanent headache, and I was completely exhausted.
Hmm.
So my body was like saying, no, 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 stop it right here. But in the afternoon, I was able to watch my favorite movie, Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah. So
I
you watched?
love that movie.
Did you watch the whole thing?
No, I was part two, The Towers, and I have an extended edition. There is a DVD shop. They I have everything on sale, and I got all three parts and extended edition Lord of the Rings. So it's
Oh,
awesome,
so
awesome.
you get an extra 10 minutes of awesomeness.
Oh yeah, wow, that was amazing. I was like on the couch. I was like, wow, perfect moments. Watching Aragorn and watching Legolas and the dwarf, and it's just so amazing.
I watched a really good movie last night, actually. So I had dinner with my dad actually last night. It was sort of like a late birthday sort of celebration, and then when I got back, I had a nice rare steak, just the way I like it. And I got back, so I was full of protein, full of energy. So I thought, what have I got recorded here? I Tonya. I had recorded. Have you heard of that film, I, Tonya?
No, no.
2017. And it's a sort of a comical biography, sort of a very dark sort of comedy biography of the story of Tonya Harding, the figure skater of a couple of decades ago, where she's a little bit of a controversial figure skater. She was one of the world's best, and I think she was an Olympic champion at one stage. But she's very young, and she did a few questionable things. Like I think she married at one point a criminal or an ex-criminal, someone who was tampering in that sort of stuff, and then they got divorced, but she kept the relationship going, and it was a very sort of a um, turbulent sort of relationship. But the thing is, what happened was that one of her competitors in the ice rink actually had her kneecaps broken. And this was just before the Olympics, more or less. So it turned out that it wasn't Tonya who did it, but it was her boyfriend and some of his buddies went and broke this other Sheila's kneecaps just before the event, so that Tonya had a better chance of winning. So it was a very interesting film. So if you haven't heard of the story of Tonya Harding, you can definitely Google it. But otherwise, just have a look at this film. It tells you everything in a very sort of a dark humor sort of a way. But it was a very, very good film, really emotional. So essentially on an emotional roller coaster, and it really kept you in your seat. You didn't want to switch it off. So if you ever get a moment, and you've got a bit of time, and you do need to really pay attention to the film to appreciate it. But I, Tonya is a fantastic film. I think you'd like it.
Cool.
Mm.
I in 1 hour I have the sermon for the kids today for my 15, 16, 14
Oh, so
year
you're
old.
you're doing Sunday school. So you're doing teenage Sunday
Yeah.
school today. Are you going to tell them about Halloween?
They know about Halloween already from their mothers and fathers, so I don't really. I actually wanna. I have other subjects, but yeah, it's good that you say that. I'm gonna ask them what they think about Halloween. But
Yeah, ask them about it, because I know that a lot of my friends, personally in my family, pardon me, in my friend circle, they're not very keen on Halloween, and certainly not on trick or treating. But we are a family, so myself and my children were a family who we don't celebrate Halloween specifically so much. So we don't start any jack o' lanterns or start carving out pumpkins or anything like that. But we do dress up, and we do trick or treating every year. So we've been doing that. I think this year was our third or fourth year trick or treating. So the way we do it is we trick or treat enough on Halloween to actually have enough candy for the rest of the year. So it works out alright for us. But I think there are a couple of good viewpoints that it's a lot of Christians, yourself for example, you find Halloween and trick or treating quite demonic, and you think it's playing with a lot of dark forces and stuff like that. And we don't feel that way, so we haven't put that much thought into it. I did do some research on Halloween today, to see, because that's one of the topics we did want to discuss was Halloween, and I wanted to see where it came from, because I have to admit I had no idea. I knew that it was derived from a pagan festival, as are a lot of our traditions. A lot of our traditions in the Western culture and even the Christian culture are derived from pagan, originally pagan festivals, as is Halloween. So did you know that Halloween actually originally came from Ireland? So
of
it
course,
was a
I did
Celtic
it with
Celtic
Angie. I lived in
festival.
Ireland and we
Yeah.
celebrated Halloween.
So
We
you
did.
did it
Angie
there as
was.
well.
Yes, yes, yes. I used to like she did. She didn't get dressed as a little ghost, but she went into the pubs. I was a
She
pub
went into the
visitor.
pubs. Ah.
Yeah, yeah. Her
Ah.
mom was drinking whiskey and Guinness, and she was singing songs in a pub, and she got money and sweeties and everything.
And how old was she?
5, 6,
I
7.
see. In Ireland, that's not frowned upon. In Ireland, that's okay for a 5-year-old to go into a pub, start singing for money,
Sure.
start singing for cash. In Australia, I think that would be frowned upon. Probably most countries, actually. But in Ireland, that still seems to be okay. But it was interesting that Halloween was previously a Celtic tradition. I actually would have thought it was American. In all honesty, I thought it was a very it was more of an American thing, because the Americans really play hard on the Halloween thing and the trick or treating game. But no, it's Irish, and it actually originated about 2,000 years ago, around the time Christ was born.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure. The it's like the world is based on sacrifice. Yes,
yeah.
that's another topic we only scratch. And you had the pagan priests who sacrificed children on that specific day. And so you could you give your firstborn basically. I don't know why, or one of your children. I don't know if they slaughtered it or took it
Well, I
into
think I
their
think that that topic is still a little bit debated because I know that some sources do say that they sacrifice children, other sources only say that they sacrifice animals and food. So I
yeah.
think that's a little bit of a topic of debate as to what was
Yes,
actually
exactly.
sacrificed by the
I
Irish.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
or if they took the children just to serve their idols,
to serve the
can be also that they,
sacrifices. I think
yes.
they probably used the children to serve the sacrifices onto the bonfires that they
Well,
made.
that is that is a subject we really have to speak about another time because there are still children there are still children sacrificed. That's a very very.
Really? Okay.
Yes, really, it's a very dark topic. We speak another time about it. I need sources. You have darknet and you have very crucial things going on. I don't really want to know about, but somehow I have to know about it. It hurts me deeply. So one, I should be always crying actually while I start smiling. You know, it's like all the things going on. We just don't know, and all the things are hidden from
Hmm.
when the Nazis slaughtered all kind of people, to say it right, like this. Um, a lot of people besides 6 million Jews, they slaughtered gypsies, they slaughtered everything what wasn't so-called
Anyone
German.
who's disabled got slaughtered as well.
Yeah, exactly. Also, and unfertilized people, etc. pp. No one knew about it, actually, or they didn't want to know, you know. And I really want to keep my eyes open. And I know the way what happened
That would be a good topic. Did they actually know about it, or didn't they know about it? Because
some.
do you think some people actually knew about it in the community?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Some did knew, and some don't want to know, and some were just blind men walking. And that's just, you know,
Mm.
we are aware as much as we want to be aware, or whatever, for whatever reason. It's everybody is one day personally responsible for the way he's lived his life. So we leave it with that. But that's why if the root of Halloween is a root of sacrificing lives or sacrificing whatever, then
Well,
I've much rather not celebrate it.
no,
My
fair
cousin,
enough.
wait. I tried to warn my cousin about Halloween. She's a young lady with 3 kids, 2 live with her now. A very beautiful young lady. She
Mm.
had a tough time behind her. Her firstborn son lives with the parents of her ex.
Hmm.
So she has hard experience. Very lovely woman. Very great mother. And she did celebrate Halloween in East Germany. They made a big Halloween open air party where they invite kids. And I mean, honestly, I don't want to see ghosts and scratched faces and that blood thing and monsters and witches. I don't really think that's nice to look at. So why should I invite my kids to look at such ugliness? And she went there with her kids, and now she had a bruised foot. Don't know, but it's not broken, but short before broken. So she's like stumbling now, and actually, um, not knowing of the danger does not exclude the consequences of it. If you get my point here,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
you can
but but
with
your
that
opinion
pumpkin.
is coming from a very very Christian perspective, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
sure.
you're well. No, what I'm saying is everything that you're telling me now is coming from a mix of superstition and Christian belief. I think is your point here, and all I was trying to say that, it doesn't have to be that way. For kids, I think it can be very light-hearted. It can really be just a time to dress up and have a little bit of fun with the other kids, and to actually collect some candy. And originally, even when the Irish were celebrating it 2,000 years ago, it had a mix of reasons. So their celebration was actually called Samhain,
Yeah,
And
Charmaine.
Samhain sometimes is what it's called as well, or Samhain, and it was a New Year's celebration. So
Mm,
their New Year ended before ours did. So the 1st of November was actually their New Year. So
mm.
that's when they started celebrating Samhain, and it was also the end of summer. So they were celebrating the New Year, and the New Year would begin with winter. And a lot of people just tended to die around this time as well because, the weather gets colder. You see, older people as well, they don't do so well. They didn't have the heating and the luxuries, the modern luxuries that we've got these days. So a lot of people around this time would get sick and they'd die. So they believed this had something to do with spirits coming out of from their graves, from the earth, from death, really, and infiltrating their villages, their communities, and taking away their people into death. And they thought, the Celts at the time, they thought that one way to discourage, demons being around, or spirits being around them, was to put ugly face masks on to confuse the demons so they would leave. Yeah, it's true. That's what they
Oh,
thought.
the demons are so scared of those masks.
That's what they thought, and at that time, that seemed, apparently it seemed a really reasonable thing to do. It seemed a
Well,
reasonable
yeah.
thing to believe, and that's what they did. That's how they celebrated Samhain, and it's already very similar to what we do these days with our face masks. We leave the doors on that day with our face masks. It's maybe it doesn't have the same reasons behind it as it did 2,000 years ago, but that's still something we do. Later on in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III, a Catholic pope, actually created All Saints' Day on the 1st of November. And that day was really just to honour saints. And it's sort of, he was trying to distract, because there was still a lot of pagan rituals going on in the 8th century, and he was trying to distract, get more people into All Saints' Day, the day after Halloween, and to distract from Samhain. But what happened instead was that the Europeans turned around, especially the Celts and the Irish, they turned around and they started celebrating both. They started celebrating Samhain as well as All Saints' Day. And what Samhain then became known as, it started being celebrated on the 31st of October from then on, instead of the 1st of November, and it was called All Hallows Eve, which turned into Halloween in the end. Now, and I was wondering, okay, that all sounds really fair and reasonable, but why do the Americans have such a big thing on Halloween these days? And they do, because a quarter of all the candy sold in America every year is actually only for Halloween, which is pretty amazing. Do you remember the potato famine, the Irish potato famine of the mid
That's
1850s?
that's the point I wanted to make. That's how this so-called feast came to America, because the Irish had to leave the island because of the famine,
That's
the big
right,
famine.
the big potato famine.
And
Yeah,
yeah. So because they were starving, but not only because of the famine, because the English were shipping out the food out of the country. So if you take a closer look, there was a big oppression from the English. What are they called? The loyalties,
the
the royals,
nobility.
basically. Yeah. And like, you can survive a famine if you share and take good care. But when you still have already people who take a lot of food and leave the rest with nothing, then you starve your people, and it's
So they had to
like
leave.
this.
They had to go somewhere where they could get food.
Yes, exactly. So that's how it came over
America,
to
yeah,
America. But still,
it's from all the
it's a lot of
Irish. Yeah,
it's something to be said about sacrifice, because they did slaughter kids, and they did sacrifice kids, and of course it's difficult to find the source, because Satanists and occult people, also in the Nazi time, you had very horrific women who took the tattooed skin and made lamp shields out out of it.
yeah, I have heard of that.
Yeah, so
Can you
I
still get
have a
them on
book
eBay?
here about it. So we come to an end now, because I have to get ready for the kids Sunday school, so to speak. I
All right,
wonder what I'm going to teach them. I have to listen to their humor very carefully. The boys are like a bit like you with their humor, and they are quite wild,
not the
and that's
girls,
why. Pardon?
not the girls.
There are no girls. I have only
Oh,
boys.
just boys.
We
Okay.
have in my congregation there are so many boys. We only have 2 or 3 girls. It's all boys.
Wow.
A lot of kids. It's
The
very
big
strict.
boy boom in Hildesheim.
Yeah. So it's well in our congregation only, but we have 2 or 3 girls now, and another baby is born, and it's a girl. So the girls are coming. They're coming slowly but surely. The girls are coming, but
Oh,
I
good.
have boys, and they are quite in that typical puberty. Is it called?
Pubescent years.
Yeah. So I teach them a little. We read a little. We have discussions. They talk, and then we play a game to have it a bit fun time. So I need to prepare, but I leave you.
All right. Well, you have your fun time with your boys,
Yes.
and I'll keep going with what I have here. It's starting to get dark now, so I think it's high time to get some dinner going very quickly, and to feed my hungry horde, and then to catch up on the 500 other things on my to-do list for today.
till you can go to sleep then, or what?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find another good film like I, Tonya. See what I've got.
Wow.
Maybe
Yeah.
Alien Years with Christoph Waltz and Victoria Longley. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You don't know it,
I guess.
but it's
I
very
guess
good.
film taste wise, my humor is not black or sarcastic, or I have not those. My humor is very basic. The things like the things you post, for example, a lot of times I don't understand it. To be plain honest.
Oh. Well, I can
I
always,
keep looking at it.
You just don't want to understand it. Be honest. I can
Oh,
always explain them to you.
No, I prefer to be stupid instead of lying.
Instead
I don't
instead
care,
of
really.
taking part in any dark humor.
Yeah.
So be it. I'll leave that
Oh.
up to you. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so be it. I'll leave it up to you. Have fun with your boys today. Enjoy your
Yes.
week. And I just wanted to quickly say this is the last opportunity we have. So this is the last week for fundraising for the Victorian Girl Guides. I touched on it last week for Heidi and Katya's walkathon. So next Sunday is D-Day, so that's the last day everything has to be in. But everyone listening today still has another week to donate to sponsor the girls if they want to. And I'll
Can
put
you
the
post it on
I will.
our Bianca and Ingrid live?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, actually, I can. I'll do
Please,
that then today.
please.
I'll also put the link into the description here today.
Yes, thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank
Enjoy your
Okay.
week. Be
Give everyone a
Gandalf.
hug. Say hello to Greg.
To who? Oh, to Craig.
To
That guy.
Craig.
No, okay.
Yeah.
To Craig. to Craig. I'll say hello to Craig. Yes, I will. And start your week. Go into your week like Gandalf, wise and
Wow.
courageous and brave, and with your big stick. And don't let
Is
people.
that a dog?
Yes, that's Crack's dog.
Wow, it's lovely. Isn't that a lovely dog?
She is. You want to say hello? Come here.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
a,
God. Oh, isn't she lovely?
She is very nice. She's a beautiful dog, but she also has a beautiful temperament. Very obedient as well. She's a Staffordshire Terrier crossed with a Rhodesian Ridgeback. She's
Oh.
absolutely beautiful. She's a good girl.
Oh,
Good girl.
wonderful.
She's a good girl. So I'm
Okay.
just babysitting her at the moment for Crack.
Okay.
And be Gandalf. Have a great week.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye. Talk to you then.
Wer hat an der Uhr gedreht? Ist es wirklich schon so spät? Schade,